ancestors in 1619 was built to keep us blind instead of set us free. Whitewash gospel, slave ship theology taught obedience instead of liberty. Changed the name and changed the face. Told us truth had to fit their race, but now the veil falling from my eyes and the real faith starting to rise.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the channel Reclaiming My Identity. I am excited once again. We have another interview, and this individual, I'm going to allow her to introduce herself, tell us where you're from, just give us a little bit background on who you are, Miss Salima.
All right, I'm Salim. I'm from originally from New Jersey. Been living in Virginia really like 31 years now. So so I've been in Virginia longer than I actually was in New Jersey, even though I was born and raised there. Been married for 34 years, two young adult children, and still work. Wish I could retire, but so, so,
I hear you.
so yeah, so that's and then that's just a little background of me without going too far before you get into the questions you want to ask.
Okay, okay. Oh man, you opened a can just with the first, okay, 34 years. Amen. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Um, and how old are the children?
31. My daughter's 31 and my son is 29.
Wow. Wow. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
This is okay. All right. So, we I came in contact with you because I think you responded on a video. Is that what happened?
Yes.
Responded on the last video, or one of the last videos we did, as a matter of fact, a week ago. And I guess tell me, I guess first of all, how did you come across the video, and what did you think about what drew you to watching the video?
It just popped up on my YouTube feed somehow, and then I the topic the got my attention. So then I listened to the whole video. So it was really good and enlightening. And then you had asked a question. You I guess me and a couple of other people had responded in the comments. And one question, my answer was why did I, whether I felt like we should leave the church or stay in the church, once we come to the awakening basically.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. And so you ended up watching the video, and I guess what were some of your takeaways, first of all, from the video? Um, did you find any similarities in some of the things that you have experienced?
Not little. I found like everybody seemed like everybody got their own story, so
Hmm.
that was pretty good. And then I think somebody on the panel, I don't know if it was one of them, was still basically still go to church if I'm correct, right?
Hmm.
So yeah, so that was it. So kind of like everybody has their own story. So it was interesting. So it just had me thinking a lot about my story. Like I did try to stay. I tried to stay in the church. I did, but I think I was like I came to awakening really in 2022 fully because it was like a process. It didn't happen overnight with me because I was
Hmm.
like questioning like is this real? I didn't, how we are. We don't believe,
Hmm.
especially when it comes from our own folks. Sometimes we don't believe them. So actually, I stumbled upon a white guy that said that we were the people of the book, basically. And I was like, what? And I was like, oh, really? So I asked my son because he thinks he's a intellectual. So I asked him at that time. I said, do you think we really the descendants from the ancient Hebrew Israelites? And he was like, no. Then I was like, okay, I kept thinking, then I was like, but the guy, the white guy, he kept giving scriptures. That was the problem.
Hmm.
So I would read the scriptures, and I was like, it's right here. I can't. I mean, it was getting hard to deny. Every time I went back to read the scriptures, I was like, it's right here in plain sight.
Hmm.
It was getting kind of hard to deny it. And then certain other things was leading up to it. It was like a process, just the whole thing. 2015 was when I started kind of waking up and knowing there was something more to
Mm-hmm.
just what was going on in the church. Like I was just feeling like I was really almost like ready just to leave right then, but the Most High wouldn't let me. So I was like, I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. It just seemed like it's something more to it.
Discover a place where every street tells a story and every moment leaves an impression. Welcome to Johannesburg, South Africa, a city alive with culture, flavor, history, and energy you have to feel to understand. From vibrant neighborhoods to unforgettable cuisine to experiences that go beyond the surface, this is more than just a destination. This is cultural immersion. With Reclaiming Our Identity Travel, every detail is thoughtfully curated so you don't just visit, you experience. No guesswork, no stress, just a journey designed to connect you to the heart of it all. So the question isn't just where will you travel next, it's how do you want to experience it. Reclaiming Our Identity Travel. South Africa is waiting. Are you ready to go?
So it started with 2015. Started a little bit waking up to things. The Trump era, basically. I always tell my husband, I say, I give MAGA the credit for
Come on
awakening
now.
me. MAGA that woke me up right there. I was like, something ain't right.
Uh, so give me, let's go back from the beginning. What tell me about your spiritual upbringing, church or how, I mean, what church did you used to belong to? Give me some of that background.
So actually, I was raised not religious at all. My mom, who raised me, actually at that time she considered herself as an atheist. So I was raised by a mother who claimed she was atheist. But even from my ever since I can remember, I always believed in God. So
Mhm.
it didn't make sense to me even as a child. So I would ask her, "Well, Mom, where did we come from?" And she'd tell me stuff like she didn't believe in God. And even as a child, I'm like, "That's well, where does she think we came from?" Like even as a child, it didn't make sense to me. And then I remember as I was getting older, one time I asked her, I said, "Well, where did we come from?" She was like, "We came from aliens." I said, "But who created the aliens?" I'm like, it just didn't make sense to me. So I always had like a sense of God. Always, I really did, like always, like. And I knew even as I was coming up, I knew I didn't understand no terms like salvation. I didn't understand any of them religious terms, but I
Mhm.
knew there was I knew there was a God. I always knew that. And I knew even as a child that I wasn't living right. I knew that too. Like it's like weird. I always knew it, but
Mhm.
that and what happened was when I was getting like my mom had got sick, and so like during a lot of my teenage years she was sick, so I had too much freedom, so much freedom. So I was started hanging out with people that I shouldn't have been hanging out with, doing things that I shouldn't be doing. And I'm like 18 and 19, and I had all these plans. I was 20 and I had these plans when I turned 21, and I used to be clubbing and everything. Wasn't even old enough, had a fake ID. It was easy back then. Before 9/11, everything was easier. So I'm like doing this, doing that, had all these plans. And one day I heard like a voice spoke to me, but it wasn't audible. It was in my spirit, but it was so I couldn't like knock it. Say, you better stop hanging out on these streets and get your life together. You're not going to be able to see your 21st birthday. And I was like,
Mm.
what? That like struck me. Now at this time, I had my boyfriend. I felt like I was in love, and actually we was living together.
Mhm.
And it's like I started getting so convicted, and I was like, I couldn't like shake it. So I started. And he was raised in the church though. Now he was
Okay.
raised in the church in the Holiness Church, and
Mhm.
I'm asking him questions because I didn't know nothing. And I'm like, I said, you think it's a sin for us to be, living together and doing this and doing that? So this is what the Christian boy told me. He said, well, all you gotta do is just repent every night before you go to bed. That's what I do.
Mercy.
And and
Mercy.
so and so I tried it for like 3 nights. I was like, this ain't working. I was like, something ain't right. I was like, I could not shake it. And then eventually it got so bad. One of my mother friends had started going to church. So I started going with her. And I came back home and told my boyfriend, I was like, look, I said, I got to get my life right. Because, I knew I wasn't going to make it. I knew
Mhm.
if I didn't give my life over to the Most High, that he spoke to me. He said you was gonna live to see your 21st birthday. So I knew it. So I said, look, we're gonna have to get married, or either I'm just gonna have to leave you alone. And I really wasn't. That was it. My mom was made up. I was like, well, he's not
Wow.
gonna want to get married because we were so young. I was 20, about to
Mhm.
turn 21, and he was 24. And then I was shocked. He was like, okay. I was like, what? I was like, okay. So we was trying to hurry up and get married. Back then you had to get a blood test. So I think that we wanted to get married in February, but we end up, because of the blood test, we had to get married in March. And
Mhm.
so March the 13th, 1992, we got married.
Wow.
And then I joined the church. I was in the holiness church for some years. And you know that and thank God for the church. I ain't gonna say
Mhm.
the church.
Mhm.
I can't say everything was bad. No, they just didn't know like I didn't know. But the church kept me from a lot. And that's where the Most High, He actually spoke to me. He was like, "You need. That's where I need to go." That's where He led me, to the church.
So you came into the church in your early 20s, right?
Hmm.
And so you had been in the church, I guess, all this time until when I know you mentioned 2015. Is that when, the Holy Spirit, the Most High, just began to speak to you and you began to question things?
That's when I began to question everything. Like, I started realizing that everything they taught us was lies. Look, everything, like, and then I started noticing how, and remember I said MAGA. MAGA was really was really catching me is the church. And even though I never sat under a white pastor, but
Mhm.
I used to follow a lot of white evangelicals, and I used
Mhm.
to buy their books, and I used to watch their movies. And I was like shocked when I saw how they was supporting Trump. And I was like, that was like, it was bothering me. So
Mhm.
at this time I kept saying, God, why? Why can't they see through this? Why are they you know, they keep trusting in this man, and it became, and I knew from the beginning, I was like, this is like a cult. I was like, this is turning into a national cult. By the time he
Mhm.
got elected, basically I was like, I was right, it's a national cult, and look where we at today.
That's
So I
right.
was like, and then the Spirit spoke to me one day and was like, I could not understand, and said, the God that you serve and they serve is not the same. I was like, what? I'm like,
Mm.
all this time I'm thinking we serving the same God, and the Spirit let me know we are not serving the same God. So that was some of me starting to wake up and see things. And then the Most High was showing me that scripture that says how the Most High have sent them a strong delusion that they might believe a lie, because
Mhm.
they don't want to accept the truth,
Accept the truth.
basically.
That's right.
So he gave me that scripture, and I kept pondering on it. So it was still taking time, 2016, 2017, um, 2018, and I didn't really come to the full knowledge like until 2022, to be exact. And to me, he said be stiff necked. I kept seeing the scriptures, but you almost kind of scared, like, because you like
Mhm.
all you knew was Jesus, and the way the church taught you is like, it's kind
Yeah.
of scary. So I was like, am I, is this really real, or is this just me, going through something? So I after a while, but what really started happening, I was getting more, studying the word more, and then, believe it or not, Kanye West and
Mhm.
what's the basketball player, Kyrie
Kyrie
Irving.
Irving. Mhm.
When I could not deny it no more after this. When I saw how they came after Kanye West and froze his bank account
Mhm.
because they didn't like what he said out of his mouth, I was like, whoa. And then Kyrie just had shared a link to a
Yeah.
video, and they
Mhm.
came after him like that. And a little bit before that, sometime they came after Whoopi Goldberg for saying something to,
Yeah.
and then Nick
Mhm.
Cannon. So I'm looking at all this and I'm reading the scriptures. I'm like, well, according to the scriptures, the Most High's people should not be in power like this.
Hmm.
They should really be under the curse, because we know those folks that claim they're His chosen, they don't even accept the Messiah. They don't believe in Yahusha. They do a lot of wicked things. They follow the Talmud. They're not really following the things from the Bible. So I was like, well, how they got so much power that they could actually cut somebody off from their finances just like that. So that's when I was like, I can't deny it no more. I was like, we fit the description. Every time I go reading through it, we fit the description. I was like, and I just started, crying, repenting, and just praising the Most High because it was so, growing up in this country, even if your family is around you and try to help you have, we as so-called black people, my mother always was trying to let us be proud of who we were, but
Mm-hmm.
still the society itself, just going through school and everything, TV, the entertainment, you always know that you look down upon. And we thought it was, I thought it was because the color of our skin.
Yeah.
We always was looked down upon and told that we was nothing. And just to realize that we really are the apple of his eye, all I could do was praise him and cry.
Mm.
It was just so,
Mm.
I'm just so blessed that if I take my last breath today, I know who I am. So that's
That's
a
right.
blessing.
That's right. For those who are watching, if you have not done so, please like, subscribe, and share if you enjoy this type of content. Um, so what was the reaction when you began? So I guess when did you leave the church?
The beginning of 2024.
Okay. Did you, I mean, what was the reaction when you left? Did you tell, I mean, friends, that you were leaving, why you were leaving? What was the response?
No, I really didn't tell them is why. Because at that time, I was like, no, when I tell them, I love them. I love
Mhm.
my church. Believe if it wasn't for me coming to the awakening, I'd probably still be there right now. But I was like, I know they're gonna think I'm a heretic. And I was like, I don't wanna I was like, I'm not saying anything to them right now. I just told the pastor because basically, in 2020 during the pandemic, my pastor and bishop actually had died from COVID.
Okay.
So we was a while without a pastor, and then his wife took over pastoring. So
Mhm.
I was like, you, and then the whole time, like after he died, even though she was supposed to be the pastor, I didn't really feel like I had a pastor, just felt like
Mhm.
we was really like, on our own anyway.
Yeah.
But I think I was staying there more so because I felt like that's what he would have wanted me to do. So I was
Mhm.
trying to stay there, and I was the Sunday school superintendent. My husband was a deacon. I was a deaconess. So we was real active in the church.
Mhm.
So when I got ready to leave, it's like I was trying to stay there,
Mhm.
and what I was doing, I would go to church on Sunday, but I was still on the Sabbath, be keeping the Sabbath at home
Mhm.
and doing things of that nature. But it was making it hard because with me being a Sunday school teacher, sometimes Sunday school superintendent and
Mhm.
teacher Sunday school, I would find myself, I'm like, when they would say certain things, I would try to put things out there like to let them know that the Most High God is not his name. That's just a title. What is
Uh-huh.
his name? Different things I would try to throw out there. But at the same time, I'm not going to be disrespectful
Mhm.
to somebody else's congregation and
Mhm.
try to bring something in that the pastor is not teaching them.
Mhm.
And I'm not going to do that to the congregation. Maybe somebody talk to me one on one, ask me some questions. So that was the conflict right there. I was like, after a while, I was like, it was getting hard. I was like, this is not going to work. And then one day we was in Sunday school, and one of the brothers came back, and it was one of the Sunday school teachers, and he was teaching, and he was saying how this guy on his job was a Hebrew Israelite, and he was going off so much on the Hebrew Israelites, and I'm sitting there like, and he was like, he's saying you got to keep the the law and this, that, and the other, and blah blah blah, and no, we can't. And he was like condemning the guy, and I was like, wow, what if they found out if I kind of believe a lot of that? I'm not
Mhm.
gonna say I agree with
Mhm.
all our Israelite brothers, but
Mhm.
I do agree with some of it. But some of it I don't agree because just like the church, we
Yeah.
got um we got cults among us too when it comes to
Mhm.
them tears and sold among us, even within the awakening also.
Mhm.
So
So so 2024 is when you came out.
mm-hmm.
tell me about your family. How did your husband and your children take it? I mean, or are they still? I mean, what? How did that? Did they come out as well? Where I mean, well, I know your husband was there because he was a
Mhm.
deacon. So did he come out? What did that look like?
Yes, my husband did come out. And probably more so because, like I said, our pastor had passed away,
Mm-hmm.
and it wasn't really, like really the same, after he left.
Mm-hmm.
So when I started telling him, and showing him what the Most High has showed me through other people and the scriptures and stuff, after a while he came to the truth too. And then because the first thing I think he thought, the first thing I had to give up when I found out we was the people, I had to give up my pork. And my husband thought I was playing, and he likes to cook, so he does a lot of the cooking. I can cook,
Mm-hmm.
but he likes to cook, so he would
Mm-hmm.
cook a lot because when the kids were smaller, I was working and going to school, so he did all the cooking. And when I gave up that pork, he tried to tempt me with them pork ribs, and I wouldn't eat them. He knew I wasn't playing. Look, I was like, I'm not messing with it. So then after that, he a little bit. I guess he just started watching me. I didn't badger him or nothing, but
Mm-hmm.
and then I would ask him, because I have to be submissive to him still. So I was like,
Mm-hmm.
it was a fellowship not too far from me where they are in the truth too. So sometimes I would go on Saturdays, go and fellowship with them, but I would get his permission, and he said yeah, but I still went with him, to church too. So when
Mm-hmm.
I started telling him towards the end, I was like, I don't know, how long I'm gonna be able to sit under this, because it was starting to get to me. Like, I found myself, and we was always faithful in the church. We
Mm-hmm.
had four pastors: our first pastor in New Jersey and three down here in Virginia. And we was always faithful, like dedicated. And I was getting to the point where I just didn't want to be there. And
Mm-hmm.
it was like, it just, I don't know. It was like getting, and I was praying about it. And I wasn't going to leave, until I felt like the Most High was giving me the okay to leave. So I was praying about it. And then towards the end, I remember that it was in the beginning, it was right, Easter was about to come up. And I was like, I had already made up my mind before my pastor died. Some stuff was starting to, bother me, like Easter,
Mm-hmm.
Christmas, all that stuff. And I knew it was pagan. I
Uh-huh.
did. I always, because we came from strict holiness, which they did teach us that stuff is pagan.
Okay.
But when I moved down here, we went to one strict holiness church. So they didn't celebrate none of that. But then after that, the next holiness church was kind of like celebrating Christmas and
Mm-hmm.
um doing things of that nature, all these pagan holidays and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I used to just justify it. I say, well, they not really worshiping another God. This is just their traditions,
Mm-hmm.
So I will kind of compromise with that and was really involved in a lot of it. But I was starting to get convicted even before my pastor had passed away. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to church no more on Easter Sunday. I just can't do it no more. And then I was like, we always had a big Christmas concert.
It's freedom day. Freedom.
The church I belong to, every year, a big Christmas concert. And I was like, I don't really want to do that. I did stuff on the job. Then I started getting convicted. I was like, didn't want to participate on the job no more. So it was just getting really hard. And then that Christmas 2023, when the pastor's wife had preached, because like I said, she became the pastor, and that was the most Christmassy sermon I ever heard. I was like, I said all these years we was there for like 12 years. So I
Hmm.
was like, all these years I never heard her speak about Christmas like this. I was like, I'm sitting in my seat like, oh my goodness, I couldn't even take it no more. I was like, this is just too much. I was like, I don't know how much longer I'm gonna take. So I was like, I'm playing. I'm like, I'm leave probably before Easter. And because I was a Sunday school superintendent, I was trying to make sure everything was in place. I didn't want to leave them hanging
Hmm.
and things like that. But then I couldn't do it no more. One day I went and I was like, I told my husband, I was like, it's getting hard. I was like, I don't know. I don't think I could wait till Easter to leave. I was like, I think I want to leave. So then I said, what about you? So then he agreed. So we wrote a letter, to the pastor and
Hmm.
resign our positions and our membership. And I just let them know it wasn't nothing that they did. It really wasn't nothing personal that they did, but that it was just the Most High was moving us in a different direction.
Hmm.
So
So does um do any of those members know, I guess, where you are now in your spiritual journey?
the ones who follow me on social media probably do,
Okay.
because I don't have no big following, but I do post things, about the awakening and who we are, on my
Hmm.
Facebook, my little TikTok, and my YouTube channel. So those who follow me, they pretty much know.
So, but nobody has said anything to you?
No, but like one of the members, she'll still reach out to me and um see how I'm doing, let me know how she's doing. So we'll message back and forth. And then just recently another sister had reached out to me and called me Thursday when I was at work. And then I told my husband, I said, because at first I wasn't really like ready to go into details, but I told him, I said, I think now anybody question me, I'm ready to just go full blown and let them know, this is where I'm at. Let them know this
Hmm.
is who you more than likely are too, and
Hmm.
just, see how whether they receive it or not.
Yeah. Yeah. Has it been, um, I guess, challenging ever since you left? I guess like finding a, I guess first of all, are you currently worshiping, with a group of individuals, people on the Sabbath, or just
Only
in
thing
general?
we do, I do a intercessory prayer every Sabbath. So it's a
Hmm.
group of those who come with me to intercede and pray for our community. And
Hmm.
then a group of us have Bible study every Sabbath. But I have not joined any assemblies or nothing.
Okay. Okay. Um, how do your children feel about it?
My children, they really don't. The reason why they don't feel, because even when we was going to church, they had stopped going.
Okay.
So and then, so they had stopped going themselves anyway. So they just don't. I don't know. They haven't really expressed how they feel, because remember I told you my son, when I first told him what the white guy had said, he said no, he didn't believe it. So I
Hmm.
t- I talk to him sometimes about it. My son is still at home. My daughter is not at home. So
Okay.
I talk to him sometimes about it, but he don't really say anything one way or the other. And then he
Hmm.
also, remember I told you my mom used to claim she was an atheist. Praise the Most
Hmm.
High, y'all. She don't talk like that no more, and she
Amen.
know who we are too. So she's a believer
Wow.
also. But my
Wow.
son, for a while, he was claiming to be an atheist. So I don't know, really where his head is all the way at. But I sometimes I witness to him. I let him know, you better get it together. We
Mm,
tomorrow ain't promised to us. We
that's
want to.
right. That's right. So you say your mother knows as well?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. What was her response, I guess, when you first shared it and she got to see that what you were talking about was truth?
She
I mean, especially, I'm sorry, especially since coming from, you said, being quote unquote atheist or whatever. I mean, that's a big jump.
So actually, has stopped claiming to be an atheist some years ago. She had started going to church, and
Okay.
so then after she moved to Georgia, that's how she left her church. Her church was in New Jersey. She moved to Georgia. Then a little bit after I had came to the knowledge and I started sharing the scriptures with her and different things of that nature, and then she actually accepted it, and she believes also.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. That's good. That's good. Um, what do, do you feel, um, I guess, any kind of pull or responsibility to share with those who you left behind? Or, I mean, as
And
far as,
it just really started when
mm-hmm.
I told remember I told you, I told my husband, I said I think I'm ready to
Yeah.
to just share with them. And sometimes like some of the little videos I make, I'm trying to be more direct. They,
Mm-hmm.
because they notice I don't never use, I always use Yah, Yahuwah,
Mm-hmm.
Yahusha. So they notice that I haven't been using God, Lord, or
God and
Jesus.
Jesus. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So but just to be more direct, because it seemed like so much is happening right now, and I'm like, it feel like we just running out of time. We got to work while it's day. So
That's right. That's right. Do you feel like there is, I guess, no. How do you feel about the camps? I guess I mean, just in general, because you have of course, there are multiple, there are
mhm.
a thousand different camps or whatever, and of course, all of them have different beliefs. And do you think that, I do you think that they, and I don't know, exactly everything that you believe, but do you think um, that they give Hebrew Israelites a good name or a bad name?
Well, I'm gonna tell you this story. I'm
Hmm.
gonna tell you why. My daughter, wait, before I came into the truth. So in our neighborhood at this time, a lot of the young people that was in her age group, and some of the guys, they was getting into trouble and stuff, and they became Hebrew Israelites. So I told my son, I was like, well, one thing about it stopped them from getting in that trouble though. That part is good. But my daughter had hooked up with a guy that was in one of those camps, and it had
Hmm.
became abusive. He
Oh
was trying
wow.
to force her to be one of his wives, and it
Hmm.
became very abusive. Now this was before I even knew who we were, because I thought, to be honest, I thought the camps, Hebrew Israelites, I thought it was just an identity crisis.
Hmm.
That we just don't know who we are. We want to belong somewhere. So I really wasn't really paying it much attention, and none of them never witnessed to me or nothing, or tried
Hmm.
to at that time. But I just remember that experience with my daughter. So that's why it had to be the Most High to awaken me to it, because messing with my baby, it got bad.
Yeah.
It had a court and everything. It was bad. So
Hmm.
that was that's the negativity. But I will say this: it's not. It's because, like I said, the enemy will sow tares among us. So the
Hmm.
same way he does in the church, it's the same thing in the awakening. And
Hmm.
I have not felt led to join any camp.
Hmm.
Um, some of the doctrine, for some of them, I don't like. I do believe that the Gentiles can be grafted in. I'm
Hmm.
not one of those who think the Gentiles can't be grafted in. I'm just going by the word. But my
Hmm.
whole point is that we have to be careful, because I feel like a lot of us left the church, complained about the church, but then we came on the other side. We're doing the same exact thing that we accusing the church of doing.
Hmm.
And my point is, people need to study the word for themselves, because I feel like a lot of our brothers and sisters are just being fed doctrine, but they're
Hmm.
not really going into the
Studying.
word for themselves. They just following the doctrine.
Hmm.
So no, I'm not. I don't plan on being led astray. No more. If I do join some assembly or something, best to believe I'm gonna be still in that word for myself,
Yeah.
because you can't just go by what folks is just telling you. You got to make sure they're in the word
Yeah.
and that is
Y-
lining up.
Yeah. You have to. I think that's one of the The problems we have is that, the I say it on my channel all the time. I commend them for having a passion and a hunger for our people,
Right,
which is, I mean, we don't see that consistently in the church,
right,
and they're standing on the corners. They're going, they want to get your attention. They want you to know that you are somebody,
right,
which I commend. But I also, think that there's a middle ground, because you have I call them Black Hebrew Israelites, and the reason why I say is because it's to distinguish them from, because I consider myself a Hebrew Israelite, but I'm not a part of a camp, you
right,
know, and so I say Black Hebrew Israelites to distinguish them from myself, you know. But I think that there are two opposite ends of the spectrum. You have the Hebrew Israelites that are just extreme on one end, and then on the other side you have Christianity, who believes that they're on that other end, on the extreme,
hmm,
where none of this stuff matters. But then on the Black Hebrew Israelites, it's like only this matters, where there has to be a middle ground.
right,
There has to be, because you can because I look at it as this. So I am I'm a Hebrew Israelite by ethnicity, because I'm a descendant of Shem,
right,
but I'm a believer, you know the following, in the teaching, or the church, or the doctrine, whatever that I'm in. That's my religion, if I'm
right,
making sense, or whatever. um and so I think you gotta it's kind of like eating the watermelon and spitting out the seeds, and so we don't accept everything from either side, but being able to find a middle ground.
right,
Yeah, yeah. um I am It's interesting to speak with individuals who have come out of the church, and those who are maybe in the church and have beliefs that are somewhat contrary to the church, because I just want to see where people are,
right.
just kind of see where people are, and just kind of see, is there anything that would bring you back to the church?
Be honest, at the rate the church going, I don't see nothing. I'm like, it's like we acting cutting up worse than before COVID. I thought after
Mhm.
COVID we'd
It's
not really.
bad.
I don't miss it. I really just want to be around probably like minded believers, but I don't give up because I'm still praying for my brethren in the church
Hmm.
and praying that many of them, and I believe many of them are going to wake up because you see all this stuff going on. A lot of people, not even our people, only the Gentiles are starting to ask, why are we so hated
Hmm.
amongst? Why do everybody hate us? And I think, it, the scripture says all things going to work out for our good to those who
Hmm.
love them.
Yeah.
That's going to work out for the good because look like most people in the awakening, there was people who was very conscious of that, like wondering why our people was always, at the
Hmm.
bottom, while we
Yeah.
was always being really like persecuted, basically, systemic racism and all that. And I
Hmm.
think it's going to work out for the good because a lot of people are starting to ask now, even more so, like, why is this so? So it's going to, and I believe, the Most High, He don't have respect to persons.
That's
He's
right.
going to reveal Himself and reveal the truth to them, just like He did for me and you. He don't have
Yeah.
respect to persons.
Yeah. We just got to be, our people have to be open to receiving it,
Hmm.
especially the pastors and the leaders, because you know oftentimes the congregation goes as the pastor goes.
Right,
And so if the pastor's not open to hearing, which is what we're going to be talking about tonight, if the pastor's not open to hearing and discussing these things, then it's going to be challenging for the members. And I go back to what you were talking about with the Kyrie Irving thing, when he tweeted, Hebrews to Negroes, that documentary. And so you have thousands of people who are going back and they're watching the because I don't know if you know Ronald Dalton or whatever, Junior, and his,
Yeah. That's
and
what got me. I ain't know he was. They made such a big fuss about it. I was like, well, who is this person? So I
hmm
went out there. You know what I did? I bought all his books and stuff because,
yeah,
and I started buying books back then because I used to get a lot of Kindle books because I knew they was
hmm
going to start banning books. So
yeah.
my house so small, I just built a bunch of floating bookshelves everywhere, books everywhere. I might not never get a chance to read them all, but because they made me. If it wasn't for them overreacting, I probably
hmm
would have just kept going on about my business.
That right there is that's the point that I have been trying to make, and I'm glad to hear you say that because I've been trying to say that when Kyrie did that, when he tweeted that out, initially that documentary, I mean, before he made that tweet, I had seen the documentary, had his books and everything, but it was not really popular. I
Hmm.
mean, everybody didn't know about it. But when
Right,
he made the tweet, that's when it just blew up. And everybody was looking at the documentary. Everybody was buying books. And as a result, people are now going back to their churches and asking questions.
right.
But the pastors have no answers. And the pastors have no answers. And then members are starting to think, I mean, why am I here?
Hmm.
You know? Um, and everything that these guys are saying that your pastors are lying to you, I mean, they seem to be true because the pastors have no answer. And I think because of that, we are in a situation now where, we have to, as pastors, as leaders, we have to be faithful, and begin to answer these questions. If not, then it's gonna be a mass exodus.
But let me ask you this, tell you
hmm
this part. When I first got started going to church in 1992, my pastor, which he was, I felt like he was an awesome Bible teacher. So we was in
hmm
Bible study one night, and we was going over Deuteronomy 28.
hmm
So this had to be like 90, probably 93. And I was like, Bishop, I was like, is this talking about us black people?
Wow.
And then he said, no. He said, it's talking about God's chosen people, the Jews. And then I was like, well, how come the Jews and the blacks, they should get along? Because it seemed like they met kind of the same fate. Now you got to think, when he told me that, I just accepted what he said. I never looked into
hmm
it no more.
hmm
All them years, 30 something years later, I just still accepted that they were the chosen, and no, that wasn't us. And I, because I went by what the pastor told me,
hmm
I didn't even look no further because I trusted his word. I looked up to him, and I didn't even dig into it myself. Not to mention, Kara's one tried to tell me, when
Yes.
I was younger, listening to him,
Yes. I mean,
he tried to tell me too.
yes. Yes. So and it's funny because I had never. I mean, you say these things, you repeat these songs, you sing these songs, whatever, but it doesn't click.
Right?
And it wasn't until maybe a
Yeah.
year, maybe 2 years ago, 1 or 2 years ago, that I actually heard, you know, that verse or whatever. And it's like, man. As a matter of fact, I don't know, we woke now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Following.
so that's why I heard it recently. Um, and I was like, man, it's been out there the whole time, and we just missed it.
Yeah, it's weird. You read scriptures you've been reading for years,
Mhm.
and it's like we was reading with some type of blinders on our eyes or something. We was interpreting the scriptures the way, uh, basically the way our colonizers wanted us to interpret it. That's
Yep.
the way we've been interpreting it. But if you
Yep.
go back and really read it and ask the Most High to take them filters off your eyes and just be led by the spirit, you could
Mhm.
see it's like it's right there. It's not really,
Right
I
there.
just say, hidden in plain sight. It's right there.
Yeah. 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 But I mean, I'm gonna go back to what you said earlier. You quoted Romans, all things work together for good.
Hmm.
And so he led you, led me, led us to these things at the time that he knew that we were ready to hear it and
Right.
accept it, and walk in it. Because if
Yeah.
if you had learned that in the '90s, would you be where you are today? You know,
Mm-mm.
you know,
No. All the
yeah.
experiences I had, like I said, we was a member of three. no, four churches, but the one in Jersey wasn't really that long because we ended up
Hmm.
relocating down here. And everything I learned something from every one of them, and it was really for my good. It just taught me a lot. Taught me still how not to trust a man too,
Yeah,
and not to trust in the arm of the flesh so much too.
that's right. That's right. And not just taught you, it taught them because they're
Mhm.
individuals that you um interacted with over those years. And just
Yeah.
even if you just use the example of the church that you were in Virginia, the last one you were in, some of those individuals, it may not be, you've been gone for 2 years now, but those individuals, and you said now you are ready to, to share
Hmm.
those individuals you would have never met. You would have never been able to share this information if he had
Right.
not, led you to that church.
Yeah.
So all things work together for good.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. But I want to thank you so much, Salima,
Hmm.
for the interview. I am going to ask if you would give us um, your social media, where we can where everyone can find you, connect with you.
It's just Salima Peace Joy.
Salima Peace Joy.
You could find me on look, and I guess that's the way it's set up on YouTube. Because look, I'm new to this. I just I think about maybe a year and a half ago, 2 years, I started. I said, let me start making some videos. So because I had the channel for a while, but I never used to post nothing. But Salima Peace Joy, and that's on TikTok. On TikTok, it's Salima Peace Joy Fafa, Fafa,
Okay.
and on YouTube is Salima Peace Joy, and Facebook is Salima Thompson Joyner.
So I got Salima Peace Joy and then Salima Peace, you said Joy Fafa?
Uh huh.
Okay.
That's TikTok Fafa,
Okay.
and then on social Facebook is Salima Thompson Joyner. That's what it is.
Salima Thompson Joyner. How do you spell Joyner?
Joyner.
Okay. Let's see. All right. All right. All right. Well, I want to thank you so much, Salima, for
Thank
coming
you.
on. I thank you so much for the interview. Thank you for your testimony, and sharing your journey. For those who are new to the channel, please make sure that you subscribe, like, share, comment, tell us what you think about Salima's testimony, and also share yours. And I'll get you out on this, Salima. Are there any individuals that you know who would be willing to sit down for an interview? If so, then please let me know.
Okay,
All
I
right.
will. All right.
Um, any closing comments for the viewers? Anything else?
No, just the one thing I say, help. I always say this prayer for us. Father, y'all help us to endure to the end. That's all we just got to endure to the end. No matter how bad it looks, no matter what it looks like, we just got to endure.
That's it. That's it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone,
Thank
for
you.
watching. And we will see you all in the next video.